scenario have the humongous scope of GST litigation because lakhs of notices already served, issued. And here Taxo plays as a pivotal role and our subscribers get advantage with such dedicated interactive sessions of the GST with the leading experts. Friends, before I hand over again baton to Anmolji, I want to share that Taxo now moving beyond your knowledge partner to your GST audit partner. Till now, we are serving you with the case laws, draft replies, queries replies on GST, but now we are also going to serve you with our powerful audit tools on the GST. All of we are facing the issues in the GST audit. It is very complicated and time-consuming task. And our clients and organizations getting huge penalties plus is interest along with the ITC reversal due to the vanished and the non-compliant suppliers. Friends, आपको असिस्ट करने के लिए टैक्सो ने जिस तरह से टैक्सो डॉट ऑनलाइन एक टूल बनाया था, इसी तरह से टैक्सो क्रेडिट के अंडर दो इंटेलिजेंट टूल्स बनाए हैं. वन विद जीएसटी फिटनेस रिपोर्ट, दूसरा वेंडर स्कैन 360, वेयर यू कैन कंडक्ट एरर फ्री रियल टाइम जीएसटी ऑडिट्स, supplier audits in less than 15 seconds. Believe us, regular use of Taxo Credit helps you in safeguard your organization, your clients from the financial unplanned losses, and you can easily predict notices from the department, and you can help your organization and clients in building good governance model so they will focus only on the growth of business. Yes, मेरी आप सबसे यही रिक्वेस्ट होगी, you can use this tool, and this is an unbelievable tool is also available on very unbelievable very low prices. We are happy to give you the demo of this product. आप हमारे से कॉन्टैक्ट कर सकते हैं. I am just repeating the number of the concerned person. She is the Srishti. I am repeating the number 4 times 9 693 426, and I request to Kajal to put Srishti number in chat box. आप नंबर नोट कर लीजिएगा. जिसको भी हमारे फ्रेंड्स को अपनी कंपनी के लिए, अपनी प्रैक्टिस के लिए, अपने क्लाइंट्स के लिए इस ऑडिट टूल को यूज करना है, देख आप हमें फेयरली कनेक्ट कीजिए, व्हाट्सएप पे कीजिए, कॉल कीजिए, मैसेज कीजिए. ओवर टीम विल प्रोवाइड यू द डेमो ऑफ दिस प्रोडक्ट विच इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू इन द जीएसटी ऑडिट्स, आपके सप्लायर्स की ऑडिट्स के लिए. एंड यू हिमसेल्फ फील दैट कि यस दिस आपकी जो प्रैक्टिस में दिस मेक ए डिफरेंस. तो नाउ ओवर टू आई थिंक अनमोल जी to take today's session forward. This is from my side.
Thank you, Manoj, for guiding us the features of this very powerful tool, Taxo Online, and congratulations for the new product, Taxo.credit. Taxo Credit. I believe that the professionals like me are going to benefit a lot from these products. Coming back to the today's panel discussion, we have with us here Upender Gupta ji, who is a 1990 batch IRS and recently retired as Chief Commissioner of CGST Panchkula Zone. Upender sir holds multiple professional qualifications, being a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, and a law graduate. During his tenure of 33 years working in the indirect taxes, sir has led introduction of GST in the country in July 2017, and for his efforts, he has been honored with Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Administration and Presidential Award for Appreciation Certificate for Distinguished Record of Service. Sir, welcome. Then we have with us CA Atul Gupta ji, who is the past president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and is currently serving as board member of International Federation of Accountants, IFAC. Atul Gupta ji is a renowned name in the field of indirect taxation and has delivered more than 1800 lectures, including training to the GST officials, and has authored many publications on indirect taxation. With his commitment to thorough research, diligent advocacy, and strategic thinking in the face of complex indirect tax challenges, he has been successful in various tax litigation matters up to tribunal level. Atul Gupta ji is a senior partner in Apran Associates LLP, Chartered Accountants, and heading the indirect tax division of the firm. Welcome, sir. With this, friends, let us start today's panel discussion. First, I would request the experts to kindly give us some insights regarding the amnesty scheme under GST in the form of Section 128A, as well as the recent judgments pronounced under the GST regime. Meanwhile, I would like to request all the participants to kindly put in all your queries that you wish to ask from the panelists in the chat box in the Q&A section, which will take up at the very end. Sir, moving to the today's panel discussion. Sir, in the starting, I would like to request you to kindly give a brief to our participants, give an overview, I would say, not brief, to the participants regarding the amnesty scheme that has been introduced under GST by way of introducing Section 128A and Rule 164. Like what all cases are eligible under the scheme, what all cases are not eligible under the scheme, what all things need to be kept in mind by a taxpayer while opting for the scheme, and what are the conditions for availing the benefit of the scheme. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anmol. First of all, I would like to thank Texo for giving me this opportunity to be talking to all the participants on this important amnesty scheme, which is now ready to take off. So, as you are aware that Section 128A was brought into the GST law with effect from 1st November 2024. Simultaneously, Rule 164 to implement the provisions contained in Section 129A of the Act was also inserted in the CGST rules, again effective from 1st of November 2024. Simultaneously, the CBIC has also issued a circular number 238 on 15th of October 2024 to give clarifications on various aspects of the scheme. So what is this scheme all about? And in addition to this, two advisories has been issued by GSTN. One was issued on 29th December 2024, informing the trade that Form SPL02 is available on the portal. And the last advisory was on 14th January 2025, informing about the availability of Form SPL1. So now what is the scheme? So you may be aware that due to initial years of issues in the faced by the trade in following the GST law and rules procedures, a lot of mistakes were committed and various shoka notices were issued both under Section 73 and 74. The GST Council has approved an amnesty scheme for first 3 years, 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20, wherein it has been laid down that any shoka notice issued under Section 73 on any issue for these 3 years, the benefit would be available by way of amnesty if the taxpayer pays the full amount of tax demanded in the shoka notice, etc., and the interest and waiver, interest and penalty, interest under Section 50 and penalty under Section 73 will be completely waived off, subject to certain conditions. So this is an important step taken by the, in my mind, by the government and the council to, and it is an effort to reduce the litigation. So we should be clear what all kind of situations are covered under the amnesty scheme, what all conditions are specified in Section 128A, and who all can take the benefit. So the conditions are that either the shoka notice should be pending, but no order has been issued. Such a taxpayer can file SPL01 and pay the entire amount of tax, and the interest and penalty would be waived. A question can come to mind that when for all these 3 years the limitation period is already over, can there be any shoka notice which can remain pending at this stage, and can the taxpayer can really avail the benefit of this scheme? So the answer to this is yes, because many taxpayers had filed writ petitions and stays were granted by various high courts, etc. And now the stay is vacated, or the high court has said that the case is to be decided again, order has been set aside, and so on. So there may be cases where the shoka notices are still pending for final determination. So in that situation, the taxpayer can claim the benefit of this waiver scheme by filing SPL01, which is already available on the GSTN portal. The second situation in which the benefit of the scheme can be availed is that the adjudication order has been passed by by the adjudicating officer, but the appellate order has not been issued. That means against that adjudication order, the taxpayer was aggrieved and the taxpayer has filed an appeal before the first appellate authority, or the second appeal might also be pending, but that second appeal goes to GStat. So I'll talk about that a little later. So where the appeal is pending, but the appellate order has not been issued, that is one situation. Second is that the appellate order has been issued, but the second appeal is to be filed before GStat. But because the GStat has not been constituted so far, so according to the circular number 224, an undertaking is required to be filed informing the department about the intention to file the appeal before GStat as and when the GStat is constituted. So in that situation also, the appeal is pending, but the second appellate order has not been issued. And the third situation is that the order is there, but uh, for some reason, but the department, as you may be aware, is entitled to issue a revisional order under section 108. So that order has not been issued. So in all these situations, that means the order is passed, but first appellate order or second appellate order, all the revisional order has not come. In that situation also, the taxpayer can claim the benefit, and in that case, the form number SPL 02 is to be filed. So both these forms, SPL 01 or SPL 02, are available on the portal, and the either of these forms can be filed within 3 months from 31st March 2025. And before that, the entire amount of tax in the order or the appellate order, as the case may be, has to be deposited. And one more condition is to be satisfied, that the appeal which has been filed, which is pending, has to be withdrawn. That is another condition for filing an application under the amnesty scheme. So by doing this, the application under the amnesty scheme can be filed, and thereafter the proper officer would decide the application filed under amnesty scheme, and he can accept or he can reject, he can issue show cause notice. All that usual procedure for deciding the any application filed with the department is taken. So this is broadly the scheme. So there are now nuances of this scheme. For example, one show cause notice is there which covers the eligible period, that is 1718 or 1819 or 1920. But the show cause notice also covers another period, say 2021. So for example, one show cause notice covers 1920, which is covered under the amnesty scheme, but it also covers the demand for financial year 2021. So can the taxpayer apply for amnesty scheme? Yes, amnesty scheme can be applied for, but in that situation, the waiver for interest and penalty would be available only for the year 1920, and for 2021, the amount of tax plus interest and penalty, if any, for 2021 will also have to be deposited. Then only one can apply for amnesty scheme. Another situation is that one common show cause notice is there for a demand and for erroneous refund. So in that situation, can the amnesty scheme can be applied for? Again, the answer is yes, that one can apply for the amnesty scheme. But again, the waiver of interest and penalty is available only for the specified period, and the amount of erroneous refund along with interest or penalty, if any, will have to be deposited. Then only one can take the benefit of the amnesty scheme. One more situation is there, that the section 74 notice was issued, the demand was confirmed, and the appellate authority, the order has come that the ingredients of section 74 are not available, cannot be proved by the department, and therefore the demand should be determined in terms of section 73. What happens in such a situation? Because as on date, the section 74 proceedings are continuing. So in that situation, the scheme provides that uh, that once the appellate order is received, that instead of 74 it is a case of 73, then amnesty scheme can be applied within 6 months from the date of such order. So the to me it appears that all the situations are covered in this. So uh, this is what is the broad parameters are. Now what happens that any tax has been already been paid, and interest and penalty has been paid, can that person can apply for the amnesty scheme? The answer is no, that in such a case the amnesty scheme cannot be applied for. Pure erroneous refund demand, the amnesty scheme cannot be applied. So as I said earlier, that if any appeal is pending, that has to be withdrawn, then only the amnesty scheme application can be filed. So if you have applied but it has not been accepted, that withdrawal has not been accepted, a simple proof that I have applied for withdrawal of appeal is to be enclosed while filing SPL 02. Once the SPL 01 or SPL 02 is filed, then the proper officer would examine whether you are eligible for the benefit of the scheme. So he will pass the order accepting your application, and in that case, the proceedings will be deemed to be concluded and no interest and penalty is to be paid. Can you file appeal against such an order? Normally, there should not be any occasion to file appeal against that order, because that order is in the favor of taxpayer. But department has been given the right to file appeal against such an order passed by the proper officer on the application under waiver scheme. There may be a situation that today there is a order in which, let us say, 100 rupees demand has been confirmed. You have applied for waiver of the waiver scheme, your proceedings have been concluded, but the department had got into appeal against that order for some reason. For example, the demand was for, let us say, 200 rupees. Partly it is in your favor, partly it is against the department has filed an appeal against that portion of the order which has been decided against them. In that situation, if a appellate order is received by the later on, then the differential amount will also have to be deposited at a later date as and when that appellate order is received. Now, is it must that the proper officer would accept if you have filed the application for waiver? The answer is no, because if he feels that you are not entitled for the waiver scheme, then he can issue a show cause notice. He will give a personal hearing, and if he is not satisfied, he can reject the application. Against that rejection, you can file an appeal before the appellate forum that my waiver application has been wrongly rejected, and such a situation you can file an appeal. So this is broadly the provision. At a later time we can take questions once Atul bhai talks about, or he can add if any other provision is to be added.
Because though I wish that, sir, you answer that question, that there may be a case that there is no tax demand and only the interest and penalty is demanded in a particular order. So can that person go for that scheme or not? I believe that we should.
To my mind, because the intention of bringing this scheme is to reduce litigation, there would be a show cause notice demanding interest and penalty. So to my mind, there also the appeal benefit, this waiver scheme benefit can be availed.
Sir, I believe this has been clarified in the circular also. In the circular, in the table,
Yeah.
the first scenario covers this particular thing. So, friends, thank you, sir. Thank you for summarizing the entire scheme in such a short time. Thank you so much, sir. Atul, sir, moving forward, sir. Sir, I would like to request you to kindly guide us, explain us some recent important judgments that have been pronounced under the GST regime, and what are the implications and how can the taxpayer be benefit from those judgments?
Yeah, thank you, Anmol. And just to add what the sir mentioned about the amnesty scheme, and I believe that it's very important that we all should review all the cases which are there before all our friends, that whether they are eligible for an amnesty scheme or not, because many times you will find that the scheme will you feel that okay, the case is not to that extent on a merit, and the benefit can be taken by using this scheme. One thing I just wish to share my friends here, that at times you will be having a show cause notice invoking section 74, and since the scheme prohibits you that in case the notice is there under section 74, then you cannot go for this scheme. Majority of the show cause notice which are issued for 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 in the recent time are based on the invocation of section 74. So practically at times you will feel that okay, whether the scheme is really helpful for you or not. At the one point I will request Upendra Gupta ji sir, is because he is uh, uh, the the person behind the entire this introduction of the GST law. If our representation can be given to the ministry, that because in the VCS scheme also there were certain small like clarification were issued by the department. By virtue of that, the scheme went well. So likewise, in case the issues where the section 74 is involved is also being taken care under the scheme, then I believe that there will be a great amount of interest among the SSCs to go for this scheme. Number one. Number two, that in case, I believe so, that in case you can get your case assessed, because the last dates are, for example, 17, 18, the 5th Feb is the last date when the orders will be issued, and immediately we can file an appeal to plea before the first appellate authority that the section 74 should not be invoked. And in case by chance you receive the benefit of a removal of a section 74 in your case, then again you can go for this scheme. So maybe a little bit of a rush by each one of us, that in case the section 74 can be removed from the entire litigation of a particular case, then the benefit can be taken. So there may be the two approach which I just shared, one to practical approach and the other to give a representation to the ministry to take this particular aspect. Now friends, as usual, when we are discussing about the prime time on a weekly basis, I am covering around 10 judgments which are recently pronounced by the Honorable High Courts, so that when you are handling the litigation, any of these judgments can help you to quote while you are making the reply of your notices received. May it be the demand notice, that is the show cause notice, or maybe you are filing an appeal before the first appellate authority. So, but today, since the time is the essence, I will be taking only 6 cases, which are I believe that is a very, very important in nature, can help you out. The first case which I wish to take with you is a Shankar International. This is a Mumbai High Court judgment available on the taxo.online 2024. I am talking about all 2024 cases. 2686 is the citation. Shankar International, Mumbai High Court. Now, my dear friend, what happened in this particular case? That a particular exporter was there. He was looking for a refund from the department, and as he was doing an export of supplies, he was doing a supply as far as the exports are concerned. Now, what happened, that you are aware about a department called DG ARM, which is categorizing certain exporters as a risky exporters. And by virtue of that, the refund was not sanctioned by the department. Maybe after a few months, the flag which was given by the department was removed after submission of all the details by the exporter. Now the question was that since the refund was not granted within the time limit given by the department, that is 60 days, now whether the SSC will be eligible to claim the interest or not. So the SSC was of the opinion that it's not my fault. you have categorized me as a risky exporter, actually, which is not the case. So I should be eligible for a interest on this delayed payment, delayed sanctioning of the refund. The matter went to the Honorable Mumbai High Court, and the Mumbai High Court rightly decided in the favor of the SSC that it's a department call that you have classifying a particular SSC as a risky exporter or not. It's not the fault of the SSC, and accordingly, the SSC will be eligible for the interest on this delayed sanction of the refund claim. So maybe this kind of a judgment may be useful for all of you when you are also handling the refund claim of the SSC in case of a delayed sanction of the refund claim by one or the other technical reason given by the department. Now coming to the another judgment, my dear friends, that normally what was happening in the initial years of the GST, that we were not able to rightly place the credit, the ITC into the 3B. So what happened in this case of a regimen PLX, that is a Kerala High Court judgment. What happened that the SSC declared the IGST credit as a CGST plus SGST credit in the 3B. So rather than showing it is a IGST, and then he claimed the benefit of that C plus S, that is CGST plus SGST for its output liability. Later on, the department issued the show cause notice showing that there is a mistake, or there is a lapse on the part of the SSC, and they created a demand on the SSC because as per the 2A, it was a credit of a IGST rather than the C plus S. So they created a demand as a treating the same as a short payment of tax. But the matter went to the Kerala High Court, and the Kerala High Court welcome decision came in this particular case. The judgment is available on 2024 Taxo.online 2747 Regimen PLX, wherein the Honorable High Court of Kerala allowed this credit of a IGST that even if it is being shown as a C plus S, declaring that there is no loss of revenue to the department. So in case there is a mistake committed by the SSC by showing the IGST credit as a CGST plus SGST credit, then there is no loss of revenue to the department, and accordingly it should be allowed. So accordingly, the petition or the writ petition of the SSC was allowed by the Kerala High Court. Now coming to the another case, a very important case, when you are paying certain taxes, and the tax paying certain duties as a GST, and later on you came to know that the levy becomes unconstitutional, meaning thereby the levy is not applicable at all. So whether you can file a refund claim without going to the limitation period, because you are aware that when you are filing a refund claim, you have to file the refund claim within a period of 2 years. Now, say for example, in 2025, you came to know that the ocean freight, which was paid earlier by you in the 2021 or the other years, can you claim the refund of the same? Now, my dear friend, the 2024 Taxo.online 2745, the Gujarat High Court judgment, that is in the case of HK Enterprises, clarified that since the duty itself become unconstitutional by virtue of the clarification or the notification issued by the government, so now the refund claim will not have any limitation period applicable. So they also further clarified that the amount which was paid as such, that because you have the duty is become unconstitutional, so now whatever the amount you have paid, that will be treated as a deposit rather than a duty, and in the case of a deposit, there is no limitation period applicable. So you can file a refund claim even for a last 4 years, 5 years, even beyond that, as given by. So my dear friends, whenever you have a issue related to the duty, you have to file the refund claim within 2 years. But in case the amount is being classified as a deposit by one or the other reason, then the limitation period is not applicable, is something that I wish to draw upon your attention. And then you can use this judgment of HK Enterprises, as I mentioned you, from a Gujarat High Court, available on the Taxo.online 2745. Now, my dear friend, the another issue, which is a very pertinent issue, everybody is facing this issue, that you forget to pay the tax under the reverse charge mechanism. Now the department is creating the demand. At the same time, the department is invoking section 74, not only imposing the penalty on the supply on the person who has to pay the tax, but also they are disallowing the credit of the SSC, since the section 17.5 will be applicable, wherein it was said that if the section 74 is applicable, then you are not eligible to claim the credit. Now, my dear friends, even in the regime of a service tax also, there was a various clarification of, I will say, the orders issued by the tribunal, wherein it was held, even I can take you the name of a British Airways, Continental Airways, and many others, wherein it was held that in case of a reverse charge mechanism, because ultimately the reverse charge mechanism, I have to pay the tax and I will claim the credit. If I forget to pay the tax, ultimately it will be a revenue neutral situation that I will not be eligible to claim the credit because I not paid the tax. So it's a kind of a that there is no loss to the revenue, because ultimately whenever I will pay, I will claim the credit. So that's why whether the intention to evade the tax will be there or not is something, a question was there, and which is being clarified by the Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court in the case of Interglobe Aviation, available on the 2024 Taxo.online 2572, that in case of a reverse charge mechanism provision, the intention to evade will never be there because of the revenue neutrality situation. So, my dear friends, whenever you are facing this kind of a situation, that on the RCM liability, the department is imposing or invoking section 74 and then creating the demand with the interest and penalty, then you can very well use this judgment apart from the other judgment. I just wish to clarify you that the RCM provisions are as similar as they were in the service tax regime. Now, in the service tax regime, there were many judgments from the tribunal. So whether you can use those judgments in the GST regime, the answer is yes. Because the Punjab and Haryana High Court, the Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court also held that in case there is no change in the law as compared to the service tax vis-a-vis the GST, meaning thereby, for example, the intermediary services are there, for reverse charge mechanism provisions are there. So there are many provisions which are similar, akin to this service tax regime. In those cases, the judgments which were delivered earlier for an earlier regime, they are equally applicable for the GST regime as well. So, my dear friend, these judgments should be used by all of you while you are making the reply. Maybe at the lower, at the first level of adjudication, you may not get the relief at times. But ultimately, unless and until you will not argue this aspect into your appeal, as I mentioned you in the different occasions, that the drafting of the appeal or the drafting of the reply of the notices should be covering the future litigation as well. So you should not feel that, okay, you will not get the relief at this point. No, ultimately at the higher forum, you may get the relief unless and until if you will not plead that particular aspect, you will not submit your plea for not invoking of section 74. How you will be able to argue at the second stage? So that's the important point which you should take care. Now, my dear friend, coming to the fifth judgment of the day, which I wish to share with you, that the speaking order. So at times you will find that because of the last minute, there are the many orders which we are getting, which are not speaking order as such. Why I am saying speaking order? The speaking order means that whatever the allegation of the department was there in the show cause notice. Say, for example, there were 10 allegations were there in the show cause notice. You made the reply for all the 10 allegations one by one, citing the various judgments, notification, circular, and giving your plea that why the demand should not be there at all. But now, without giving a rebuttal of your submissions, say, for example, you submitted a particular judgment. Now, it is the duty of the learned assessing officer that he has to give a rebuttal of that particular judgment, that whether this judgment is really applicable on your case or not, and why he want to why want to reject that particular judgment in your favor. So now they have to give a rebuttal of all the submissions given by the assessee, and then only they can decide against the assessee by simply saying that you have submitted the reply, I don't agree with the submissions, and finally the order is being passed, is being treated as a non-speaking order, and that order practically is getting quashed in the at the higher forums. We have witnessed in the large number of cases, even in the service tax regime. Now, my dear friend, a recent judgment in a case of a TVL Shri Chima Notebook Private Limited 2024 Taxo.online 2563 given by the Madras High Court is on the similar line, that the speaking order has to be passed by the department, giving justification for all the denials of benefits. So this is something that very importantly, that whenever you are making an appeal against an order being passed by the department, you have to take care of this aspect, whether you are arguing this on this front or not, that the speaking order was passed by the department or not. So this is something that you have to necessarily include in your appeals when you are drafting. Now, my dear friend, coming to the last judgment of the day is again a very important judgment, Because what happened in this particular case, that you may be witnessing the similar situation, that you filed a AAR, that authority for advance ruling, and in the meantime you received a show cause notice from the department. Now whether the authority for advance ruling has to give a ruling, or it will be treated as that the case is litigative, so they will say that okay, I will not give you the advance ruling because there is already a litigation going on. So my dear friend, the similar issue was there before the High Court of Mumbai, when the assessee approached to this General Motors India Private Limited, approached to the Honorable High Court of Mumbai, that I filed the advance ruling, I filed an application before the advance ruling authority, even before the issue of show cause notice by the department. So the first that I should be getting the ruling from the authority, and then only the adjudication should be there. So the department view was that since this matter is already litigative, already into this litigation, so the advance ruling authority cannot give the now the opinion. But the Honorable High Court of Mumbai decided in the favor of the General Motors India Private Limited, that since the advance ruling was filed prior to the issue of show cause notice, first the advance ruling authority has to give the ruling within next 30 days time, or whatever the case may be, and then only the matter can be adjudicated by the adjudicating authorities. So this is something a very important judgment, 2024 taxo.online 2842, which can help you, that in case you are also in a dilemma, that both the things are pending, that is the advance ruling you have filed, and at the same time you have received the show cause notice as well. So my dear friend, these were the 6 judgments which I wish that in a time span of 15-20 minutes I should be sharing with you, because there may be many queries the Anmol must have received, and we have the Honorable Upendra Gupta ji, I will say the synonymous of the GST law. So I believe that we should take the privilege of his presence here, and Anmol will be asking the queries, I believe, so that sir will be giving the answer to the best, to all these queries which are being there by the respected colleagues who have joined this session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for summing up 6 judgments for the day. So, friends, now we'll move on to the queries that you have posted in the Q&A chat box. You please continue posting your queries, and we'll answer. We'll try to cover all the queries in the given time frame. So, Upendra sir, the first query is from Miss Tripti Garg. She asked whether withdrawal of appeal primary condition to file SPL 01 or 02, or this can be done after filing the form.
According to the instructions which are there, a proof has to be enclosed that you have filed an application. So the withdrawal application has to be enclosed with SPL 02. That is what is required in as per this rule, as well as the circular. The actual withdrawal may happen subsequently, and that at that point in time it can be informed that it has been the withdrawal application has been accepted by the appellate authority.
Thank you, sir. Atul sir, there is a query from Mr. Lalit Garg. He asked, in case I have paid the tax for the financial year 18-19 before the introduction of this scheme, but interest and penalty is to be paid, can I claim the benefit of this scheme for interest and penalty?
As the Upender ji, just because I believe that Lalit ji was asking this question to me offline as well. That's why I asked the question specifically to Upender Gupta ji, and he, as he rightly mentioned, and even Anmol, you were mentioning about the table number 1 of the circular, that it has been clarified that if you have already paid the tax for 18-19 and the demand is only for the interest and penalty, in that case you can take the benefit of this scheme as being interpreted by the Upender sir as well.
Thank you, sir. Upendra sir, there is a query from Mr. Mangal Maheshwari ji. He asked how the pre-deposit will be adjusted, which was paid at the time of filing the appeal against the demand which is required to be paid under 128A. So he has made the payment of 10% while filing the appeal, and now as per the scheme he has to pay the 100%. So how that 10% will be adjusted, and how the remaining 90% is to be paid? Sir, there was an instruction which says that you have to adjust DRC3, that payment that you have paid.
I think the circular says that the DRC3 can be linked.
Yes.
So against the demand, and the remaining 90% amount has to be deposited. I think that is the procedure.
Linked
have some
via
other-
DRC 3A.
So yeah, link. There is a procedure that linkage hai na?
DRC 3A.
DRC 3A you have to link, and then the remaining amount can be paid.
The same question goes for Mr. Jain Shetty, so I believe that is also answered. Atul sir, there is a query from Mr. Guru Murthy HV. He asked two questions. One is, can SCN be issued under Section 74 for both non-payment of GST by the supplier claimed as short payment by the officer? And second, in the same SCN under Section 74, can the officer demand the interest for delayed payment of GST for the financial year 1920 for delayed filing of GST 3B?
You have to repeat the question, but
Yes, sir.
just as far as I understand, that there was a issue in relation to the claiming of ITC.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Basically, there is a single show cause notice issued under Section 74. He asked regarding the validity of issuance of notice under Section 74 with respect to two issues. One issue is non-payment of GST by the supplier. So it's a case of Section 16(2)(c) that the suppliers have short made the payment. And the second issue is interest for delayed payment of GST via GST 3B for the financial year 19.
So both, yes, a show cause notice may have the 10 different issues. So as such, there is no bar that you have to issue the
I
separate
believe he
show cause
want to
notice.
ask regarding Section 74.
Yeah. So
Section 74, that whether Section 74 it is sustainable, that for these two issues Section 74 can be invoked or not.
now, at least as far as these delayed fees,
Delayed payment, interest for delayed payment of tax.
interest of delayed payment of tax is there as such, because you have already paid the tax or there was a delay in payment of tax. So when you will read the Section 73 versus Section 74, they talks about the failure to pay the tax versus delayed payment of tax. So whenever there is a delayed payment of tax, Section 74 cannot be invoked. So you can very well argue, at least on the part A, that when there is a delayed payment of tax, it is only the interest which is applicable, and maximum penalty under Section 73 can be there. As far as the claiming the credit, even I have my personal opinion that even claiming a credit from a supplier that who not paid the tax is not a intention to evade on my part. So if you ask me, that the show cause notice can be issued for the four things. Number one, tax not paid. Number two, tax short paid. Number three, ITC wrongly claimed. And number four, that the erroneous refund is there. So now it is not a case of a tax short paid or not paid. It is a case of a ITC wrongly availed, as the Anmol mentioned about Section 16(2)(c). Now, as far as the Section 2C is there, the department has issued the show cause notice invoking Section 74. You should argue this aspect that when there is a liability on my part, then only the issue of a suppression or a misstatement or a fraud can be there. Now it is the liability I have to bear again. I paid the supplier initially. Now it is the supplier that who committed certain maybe anything, even a fraud or something, misstatement or suppression may be there, or some non-filing of return. So I don't know that why his registration got cancelled. Now, if something committed by my supplier, how it can be assigned to me that there is an intention to evade on my part? That is something that you should argue. I will not say that the show cause notice is an invalid show cause notice. I can say only that you have to argue the case stating all the points which I have mentioned. And I believe that the good things prevail and you will get the relief at least from Section 74 in both the scenarios.
Sir, if
unless a collusion can be alleged.
So as rightly mentioned by Upenderji, guided by Upenderji, that in case it is being proved that the supplier and your buyer both having the collusion, and then they received the invoices on which the tax was not paid and now you are supposed to reverse, then only the Section 74 will sustain. Otherwise, it will not be able to sustain.
Sir, if I'm not wrong, just to add to this, there are some judgments that are coming up that with respect to 16(2)(c), Section 74 cannot be invoked because there is no, like you mentioned.
So actually all the judgments which are there, including the Honorable Supreme Court, Ecom Gill, and then Hina Medicals, and there are many judgments like this. So I will say, Anmol, that it depends on each case, on a case-to-case basis.
Facts of
So it's not a case that, okay, Section 74 will not be applicable in case of a allegation of fake invoice, fake purchase, or something like that. As Upender ji mentioned, that it will depend on each case, the fact of the each of the case, that whether there was a collusion between the buyer and supplier. If not, then I believe that you have a good chance to win the case.
Sir, just an extension to this query from the same participant. Though we have covered this topic in the earlier sessions also, and you have just given a glimpse of this thing that he asked, it is a well known to us that many SCNs are issued under 74 just to get the extended time limit. So, how to get these modified or altered to 73? So, what are the grounds that one can
So I can tell you that, okay, you have to argue your case. We have the thousands of judgments now. Even I argued many cases wherein we could successfully place before the honorable benches that unless even somebody is not filing the return, whether there was a intention to evade. So the mens rea is a very, very important aspect that one has to prove. Now it is the department who has to give a positive evidence of a mens rea, that there was an intention to evade, and then only the show cause notice can be there. By simply invoking section 74 without giving any reason or a kind of a evidence that how the section 74 or why the section 74 has been invoked, I believe that you will have a good case that the section 74 can be dropped, and only section 73 case will be able to sustain as given in the section 75 also, that if you are not able to, then the case will be automatically converted into section 73. But whether you will be able to succeed at which stage, I cannot comment on that particular aspect, because normally these all litigation will take time, and the amnesty scheme has a very limited period that you will be able to get the relief by converting from section 74 to section 73 and then moving to the scheme.
Thank you, sir.
With your this thing, amnesty scheme benefit can be availed at a later stage also, because the circular says that if it is changed from 74 to 73 at whatever time, then within 6 months of that you can avail the benefit. That is what the scheme says.
Within 6 months of passing the order.
Within 6 months of passing the order.
Yes, forever. 10, 15 years.
As the scheme has been framed and it is available in form of
Yes,
for
yes,
those
for those
financials.
three financials.
So let us say after 3 years, if it get converted, within 6 months you can avail the benefit. That seems to be the intention.
So I believe that it is a good update by Upender sir to all of us, that let us see that how quickly you can get rid of section 74, and then you can go opt for the scheme.
Thank you, sir. Sir, continuing this topic of 74 converted to 73. So there is a query that we recently received from Mr. Rajesh Kumar Khurana. He asked that if an SCN is received covering many allegations, for some allegations the taxpayer is able to prove that no fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of facts is involved. In such a case, does the adjudicating authority have the power to adjudicate these issues under section 73? Basically, the question is regarding the power of adjudicating authority to reassess under 73 from 74.
So according to my limited knowledge, there is no bar on the adjudicating officer to say that 74 ingredients are not satisfied, and therefore he will confirm the demand within the limitation period as specified in 73. There are doubts because the appellate provision says that appellate authority has the power to do so. But to my mind, there were similar provisions under the Central Excise Act also regarding as far as adjudication is concerned, and the jurisprudence has developed over a period of time that the adjudicating officer has to decide that whether the ingredients as alleged in the show cause notice are sustainable or not. And if the allegation with respect to misrepresentation, fraud, etc. are not satisfied, then the adjudicating officer is well within his right to decide that these ingredients are not satisfied, and therefore demand to that extent should be modified.
Thank you, sir. Atul sir, there's a query from Mr. Anand Kumar Sureka. This query regarding the amnesty scheme. Order under section 73 was passed confirming demand for non-payment of tax along with interest and penalty. Can taxpayer pay this demand with available credit ledger and apply for SPL2? So the query pertains to whether the dues under the scheme can be paid via e-credit ledger.
Yes. So in my opinion, yes, that can be used. as a, because that is your money only, and even given by the honorable high courts also in many occasions, that the credit available in your the tax the amount which is available in your e-credit ledger or a cash ledger is your money, and you can very well utilize this.
This was also clarified by the circular.
So as Anmol explained, that also is being covered under that particular circular 224 issued by the department.
Yes.
Even otherwise, if you see section 49 of the CGST Act, it says that the amount available in the credit ledger can be used for payment of tax. That amount cannot be used for payment of interest and penalty. So here you are going to pay only the tax amount for availing the benefit of waiver amnesty scheme. So there is no bar.
Sir, there's this query. This particular query we have discussed a lot regarding the amnesty scheme. We were just discussing some time back. DRC 7 is issued, but appeal is not filed. Whether appeal needs to be filed first, then SPL 2 can be filed, or directly application can be filed without filing the appeal.
Again, this is a gray area, and lot many people are asking these questions, that whether pendency of, so what is required to be eligible for me applying for the amnesty scheme. One is pendency of show-cause notice, the other is pendency of appeal and the appellate order has not been received, or the second appellate order has not been received. So the intention of the scheme is to reduce the litigation. So to my mind, the requirement of pendency of appeal is a necessary condition to apply for waiver of scheme. So if the demand has been confirmed, but I have not filed the appeal, then to my mind, the benefit of the waiver scheme cannot be availed. But I believe that this is one question which must be clarified, or which would be clarified in the due course of time by the government, because this is one area where there are difference of opinion. But in my view, in my humble view, the pendency of the show-cause notice, all the pendency of appeal is a must to avail the benefit of this scheme.
Thank you, sir. Atul sir, going back to the last question that we asked regarding the payment of taxes via e-credit ledger, there is an extended query by the same participant that what will happen if this demand pertains to the RCM issue? In that case, also, can he make the payment through e-credit ledger? This is the query, sir.
So I believe that when we talk about the RCM liability, as sir clarified that the section 49, so the RCM liability cannot be paid through the ITC. So in that case, if we will pay the RCM liability through the electronic credit ledger, practically it will fail the fundamental principle of GST. So making the analogy, rather than there is a clarification available or not available. So if we make the analogy of the two different provisions which are available in the GST, I don't feel that the RCM liability can be paid through the
even section 49, if you will read, the for what purpose the electronic credit ledger can be used, the word there is to pay outward tax liability. So the RCM liability is not the outward tax liability, it is the inward tax liability. So there also it is clearly mentioned that the balance in electronic credit ledger can be used for payment of outward tax liability, and RCM not being outward tax liability, so therefore this cannot be.
Thank you, sir. There's a query, friends. There's a query that we have already answered. I'm just recalling. There's a query that if order under section 74 has been passed and appeal is not yet filed, then can I file appeal? And then if order is passed in my favor under section 73, then can I apply under amnesty? But the tax is to be paid on or before 31st March. So the query is that 31st March deadline will be over and my order will convert from 74 to 73. That we have already answered, that there is no time limit for that. The law, the scheme says that once the duty is reassessed under section 73 and the order is passed, from that date within 6 months you can make the payment of taxes and you can file the application under SPL 1 or 2 as the case may be. Sir, moving forward, Upendra sir, there is a query that if order under section 74 has been passed, this is the same query basically. Uh, there is a query from Mr. Jitendra Panchal. I have filed a rectification application after receiving order in DRC 7. Have to withdraw rectification application before filing the application under amnesty scheme.
Rectification application is not an appeal.
No, it is not an
It
appeal.
is not an appeal.
But
So-
ideally, it should be withdrawn.
Because you are seeking amendment of the order by way of filing a rectification order. So that is the effect of rectification order.
Yes, sir.
So to my mind, that also has to be withdrawn. Then only you can apply.
Or I believe that he can wait. So I believe that you should get the early resolution of your rectification application so that your demand will be settled. So that whether that will the original demand will go will continue to be there, or you are getting a revised demand as per the rectification order. So better that you should get the disposal of your rectification application rather than withdraw. I'm giving you the practical solution session. Yes, the answer as given by Upenderji that ultimately before washing your hands, you have to come clean. No appeal, no rectification application, because otherwise, once you have filed your amnesty scheme application, and now later on the rectification order will come, reducing your demand or something else is there, then how the entire scenario will work. So that's why the principle as given by Upenderji that come clean, wash your hands and go.
So I believe the idea is that you cannot approach two different forums at the same time for a single thing.
Ah.
So Atul sir, there is a query from Mr. Hari Kishan. Department has passed order under section 74 for RCM on royalty paid. So we cannot avail amnesty scheme. Can I file writ before the High Court pleading for interest and penalty waiver? But we are ready to pay GST. Can we claim ITC for the year? Basically, he wants to ask that.
So my opinion to Harikishan ji, you that if you want to go to the Honorable High Court, rather than looking for an interest or penalty waiver, that will not be a case at all, because the interest cannot be waived off. The only point you should argue before the Honorable High Court is that the section 74 is not invocable in a case of a reverse charge mechanism, because there is a revenue neutrality is there, and I just read the one of the judgment which are there, which is similar to this situation. So I believe that once the section 74 will be removed from the show cause notice or the order, as the case may be, there will be a fresh adjudication. There will be the fresh fixation of liability, and accordingly, the interest and penalty will be there under section 73. And then you can go for the amnesty scheme, as the revised calculation of demand will be there with you. Simply, you cannot say that, okay, I will pay the tax, please remove my interest and penalty, and section 74 will continue to be there. That's not possible. That is not a right arithmetic you are applying. Yeah.
Unless you question 74.
Yeah, sir, but we are going to the amnesty scheme. So can I?
Amnesty, waiver for interest and penalty from the High Court.
So that's why I try to give the solution.
Upendra sir, there is another query from Mr. Hari Kishan. Sir, there is a difference between GST 1 and 7, 7 being the TDS return, and orders passed under section 73. Can I avail GST amnesty scheme for this difference between 1 and 7 under 73?
What is the difference?
What is the difference? Difference of output tax liability between GSTR 1 and GSTR 7 and the order.
GSTR 1 and GSTR 7
Seven.
are not linked, no?
They are not linked, but generally, sir, department officer says that as per the TDS return, your output liability is so and so, and as per GSTR 1, it is so and so. This is a common practice being adopted by the department to trace that there is any.
So just to clarify you, sir, so that you can answer the question, that for example, as we are doing in a 26 AS, somebody has deducted my TDS, but I am not showing that as my income. So now the department will say, no, it's your income because there is a deduction of TDS. So you have escaped income. So likewise, there is a escaped output liability because of so TDS is reflecting. You are saying it is not my supply. So they created a demand on the SSC.
In that case, amnesty scheme can be taken, because if the show cause notice is issued under 74, because it becomes a case of short levy.
non-short payment. Atul sir, there is a query from Mr. Rajesh Kasera. In my case, ex parte order is passed under section 73 and I have already partially deposited before filing appeal and remaining amount is paid after withdrawal of appeal. Can I do so under the amnesty scheme?
So
Partial-
ex party is not
Not relevant.
We are not discussing ex
Yes.
party. So you are saying that
Partial amount has
so
been
for
deposited
example, the demand was of 10 lakh rupees. You paid already 5 lakhs rupees,
before filing appeal
and now
5 lakhs after withdrawal.
So you can file the 5 lakhs rupees and take the benefit.
Sir, continuing, there's one more question. What happens to pre-deposit which was paid while filing the appeal, assuming the total demand was pertaining to 16.4 and hence nothing will now be payable?
Please repeat the question.
What happens to pre-deposit which was paid while filing the appeal, assuming the total demand was pertaining to 16.4 and hence nothing will now be payable? Basically, this question is linked to 16.5. and-
So now coming because of the insertion of section 16.5 and 16.6, now there is no liability because now you get rectified. You are like practically the situation. So whatever the amount you have deposited, so now there will be an order in your favor. The department will certainly say in the appellate authority that since you have got the amendment in the law from a retrospective date, so there is no liability. And once you will get the order, you should file a refund claim of the pre-deposit which was there in your case.
If there is a single issue, this is the case. If there are two issues, then for the remaining amount, he can opt for a.
So now the another So as for the another issue, if you have another issue into the same appeal, you can go for the amnesty scheme, or whatever the amount is there which was deposited as a amount paid as a pre-deposit, that can be adjusted against the another set of demand which is there in the same show cause notice or same order.
Upendra sir, there is a query from Mr. Kuldeep Bhardwaj. Sir, good evening. My query is that I have filed appeal application against order financial year 17-18 under section 73, but department has not taken any action. Am I eligible to avail the amnesty scheme?
That means appeal is pending.
Appeal is pending.
So
Yes.
then you can take the benefit of
So friends, only 3, 4, 5 questions are remaining, but we have already passed the time limit for today. So I would like to thank our esteemed panelists for sparing valuable time, Upendra sir, Atul sir, for sparing their valuable time and guiding us through the very important aspects of the amnesty scheme as well as the recent judgments that Atul sir very beautifully summed up. I would also like to thank the team Taxo for organizing such a beautiful deliberation covering the important aspects. And I would like to thank all the participants also to kindly gracing this session. Also, friends, I would like to inform you all that the Taxo team is organizing a budget session on 1st of February 2025, which will be taken by our own Atul Gupta sir. So at 4 p.m. The brochure for the same is on your screen right now. So kindly register and join the session to get the budget insights at the very first instance. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. If Manojji would like to say anything.
Nothing special. I think thank you to all, and especially panelists and Anmolji for sparing the time for the today's session. I think this is from my side, and see you all for the union budget. And my request to all, if anybody is interested, I think we have the wonderful tool for the GST audits and for the vendor audits. You can connect us. 60 number is also already be shared in the chat box, and you can note down. And we are happy to give the demo. And I can say only this: this tool is going to be very helpful for your clients, your organization, and give you the very ease in your life, because lots of time saving, lots of cost saving, and lots of benefits you are going to get via these tools, audit tools. This is from my side. And once again, thank you very much. And see you again on our very next session on the 1st February on the budget. So thank you all.